Good morning to the 9:30 call here on Monday, April 1st. Maybe in chat, if you are a believer in April Fool's Day and pulling pranks. So far, so good. I haven't seen any. As you saw, we have a great week lined up this week. We will be releasing the 9:30 call case study today. So stay tuned we'll send an email through our database later today, but we're so excited about that. And then on Thursday, we're going to have kind of an hour conversation featuring lots of folks. I'll put that link in chat this morning. We're up to 100 people RSVP'd for that, so it'll be a good opportunity. We will record that because we know that it's in the middle of the day, and some folks, it'll be tough to join. But so we'll put more information in the chat about that. And as folks are joining, yes, rabbit. This week we have two work groups from the early childhood agenda that will be joining us on the 9:30 call. And this has been a way to kind of integrate both of those worlds, give folks a little bit of a update on what's been happening in the work groups, and then always an opportunity to join the early childhood agenda. So Hilary and Marisa, I'll turn things over to you. This is an update on Workgroup 8.
Great. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. Thank you so much. Just give me a second to get going. And I will start here. So hi, everyone. I'm Hilary Odoy. I don't make it to many of the calls. I am actually a classroom teacher. So I just stepped out of the classroom. I'm at Charlestown Nursery School, working with 3- and 5-year-olds. So it's so great to be here. I'm here to just give you an update and to really get your feedback on a couple of things we've been working on for Workgroup 8. So hopefully everyone can see my intro slide. And here we go. I'm going to see, there's the advanced key. Okay, so this is our team. I am Hilary, as I said, and I am currently a teacher. I'm also a member of the BARIN board, which is the Boston area Reggio Inspired Network. I've been on that board for about 5 years, and I serve as the secretary and currently run all the workshop events for that board. And do you guys want to introduce yourselves? Marisa, Liz, and Patty, do you guys want to unmute and do that?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Marisa. I'm the Director of Policy and Strategies.
Hey everyone, I'm Liz Hogrell. I am Town of Norwood CFC Program Coordinator, but for this work group, I'm one of the lived experience leaders.
And I think Patty's either she's coming or she's not quite here yet, so I'll introduce
I'm
Patty.
here.
Oh, you're here. Oh, good. I didn't see you, so great. Yay.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Patty Santos.
Yay.
I'm a live experience leader, and I am also a customer service manager, and I'm here to help out with the project.
Thanks, guys. It's great. So great to all be together again. So let me just tell you a little bit about what we've been up to. So we are working on a public education campaign, and this was our mission to develop a comprehensive public education campaign to establish community-wide recognition of the importance of high-quality experiences for young children's optimal growth and development in early childhood. So that is where we started. And I'd love to just see in the chat, we're always looking for feedback and information. So if you're able to put something in the chat right now, what does a high quality early childhood experience mean to you? We've gotten amazing feedback. We've had a lot of responses. I'll walk you through a little bit of the responses that we had now while you guys are all doing that. As we've discussed kind of on our own off to the side small team group, I think that one of the most important things that we're going to be doing in our work is to establish a community-wide understanding of how the importance of high quality experiences for young children improves long-term outcomes for everyone. So there's a lot of data and science that we're uncovering and just basic points that are high quality. And this is, we're not just talking childcare here, we're talking early childhood experiences in general across the whole field. So that has been something that we just want to make sure is very clear. Family childcare, we want to talk about relationships with parents at home, caregivers, and such. So a little bit about our progress. In October through January, we did a lot of work fine-tuning our message. We used two things. Group mech sorting was probably the biggest one. We also used Mentimeter, which I'm going to walk you through in a minute. I think the most important work we've been doing is actually fine-tuning our message. To do a public education campaign into this capacity, we want to make sure that what we're saying is something, first of all, that we all agree, that these are things that we agree stand for high quality. And I think there's just a big, I've come to learn there's just a big disparity across the field about what people believe high quality can be or is. So we've been doing a lot of fine tuning our message, and now we're in a kind of in a place where we've got our messages pretty well established and organized, at least sorted into 5 main key headers. And we're working on our messaging. We have everything in a Google template that I'll walk you through. We're working on a first round of getting messages out. So our first round of posts for our social media campaign. And we've also been spending time navigating our branding. We want to make sure it aligns with Strategy's branding. And naming our campaign, which I'm going to kind of launch today. And we're going to talk about that and get your feedback. Our goal is to have our first post, hopefully in April, mid-April, for our social media campaign, but we have a lot of work to do before we get to that point. So here we go. In our conversations, 4 key priorities for us that have come forward are, we want this campaign to be a campaign of dialogue. We want it to be conversational. We want to connect educators to families. We want to connect families to educators and politicians. And we want to kind of help that triangle kind of just get really silent. So we want to open up opportunities for questioning, having conversations. We want to have it be a campaign of priorities. We believe that there's a lot of, as I said before, a lot of science and data out there, and we want to make sure that we are prioritizing that in the messages that we put out. We want it to be a campaign of empowerment. We really want parents to really believe that they're part of the solution, the challenges, and we want really to understand their role in how our field can advance and how our high quality experiences really engage. They don't exist without the parents. So we want to make sure that empowerment piece is really present. And we want it to be a campaign of movement and motivation for change, for influence, even if it's just small changes, or just insights. We want to make sure that there's some movement, especially with the advocacy piece, right? That's really why we started this in the first place. So to get people to really first understand what they want to speak about, but then to really have some action points so that we can see some movement and motivation. So those are the 4 key elements that we've discussed that I've pulled forward as we've been working. We've been very inspired by this quote from Kelly Pellegrini, who is the director here at Charlestown, but this is on the Strategies for Children vision page, and we absolutely keep going back to this. And it says, a future where every child's first 2,000 days would reflect the best of what we know. And this idea of the 2,000 days was something that we were really drawn to and thought that that was something that most parents could relate to, as well as educators really zooming in on. There's this time that's like just so valuable to capture these experiences, to make sure that, you know, we're just really understanding the possibilities that exist in these first 2,000 days. So with that, we've decided too that we want to, I think, did I skip a slide? Hold on for just a second. So, oh, there must be one missing. So, okay, sorry, jumping around here. So we, along with our social media campaign, the second thing that we want to do, our second action item, is that we want to build in some kind of a language awareness campaign. So we want to help influence consistent language across the field rather than using words like daycare. We want to maybe switch that to childcare, considering what words like educator, caregiver rather than teacher, really fine tuning just consistent language across the field, because that's another thing we've noticed is that there's not a lot of consistent language. And as we hear from people about what they believe high quality to be, we think there's some work that we can do there. And we think that that might actually influence the whole Strategy's agenda as well. So we've got some, glossaries that we've seen, and we are hoping to launch a subcommittee who will take this work on. And we just announced this at our last meeting, number 5. So there's some work to do there. But we think this will be impactful. And as I said before, we were inspired by this idea of the first 2,000 days. So when we were looking for like logo names or campaign names, we were Googling a lot of like, what else is out there? Because we don't want to pick a name that somebody else used. And I stumbled upon the first 2,000 days campaign that started at the North Carolina, the Early Childhood Foundation. It's an incredible campaign, and they've done actually a lot of the work that we have already set out to do. They do have a license where you can actually take this entire campaign and bring it to a different state. So I just wanted to walk you through a little bit of their history. And one of the things we're considering is actually seeing if we can bring it to Massachusetts. Their shift is not as much on high quality. There's a portion of their campaign that is on high quality. they send out a toolkit of PowerPoints and brochures that they've already done to just like, kind of disseminate to the state, which I think we could even be inspired by or also use. But what I love about their campaign is they put it out into like how it affects the workforce, how if you don't do high quality early childhood education in these first 2,000 days, if those are done in the maximal, capacity, how does it affect, prison numbers? How does it affect people able to get jobs? How does it impact mental health down the line? So it really takes it into these like amazingly broader data points that affect just the way the quality of life is affected if we increase the amount of high quality we have in these first 2,000 days. So this is a little bit of their history, just to give you some insight. The campaign started in 2011, and you'll see that Wisconsin in 2016, and then University of Mississippi jumped on in 2019. Virginia, Georgia as well. Georgia has the GEARS campaign that's basically started by the 2,000-day first 2,000-day campaign. So we're excited about this little find, and it's a really great source of inspiration as well. So just to bring that to light. So we're thinking that's our action item 3, is to consider that. Action item 4 and 5, we want to at some point have a live event. Once our messages are really firm and our campaign has been out there, we want to take those messages, have some kind of a live event, probably, in the center of Boston, disseminate some information, connect. We would also like to build our own toolkit and have some brochures. We've talked along the way about making sure our 5 key messages are out there, as well as to creating some kind of a guide for families to search for high quality childcare. And whatever guides might also come up as we do our work. So just to walk you through a little bit of our work, a little bit more intimately where we are right now. So in shaping our social media campaign, which is our first action item, we first sent out a Mentimeter poll, and we asked people, finish the prompt, young children in Massachusetts deserve high quality experiences like. We had 37 responses, which we thought were great. And if you look in the center, playful learning and socialization were the most popular, and a lot of people in the conversations we've had feel that this is the most important. So we do want to start our social media campaign here. We've zoomed in a little bit on some language around these as well. Our next step was to take these 37 responses and to kind of bulk them into headers. So we did a lot of sorting, and we put them from Mentimeter over into Group Map. I don't want to go into the weeds of that by clicking on that link, but I can certainly give that to you in the chat, Marisa, if you want to do that, that'd be great. These are the kind of the 5 buckets that these messages fell in. And we were kind of thinking, okay, now that we've got 5 headers, we can probably do maybe 5 or 6 strong posts per header. And then that would be a campaign of 75 messages on social media, for example. So our first bucket is responsive and prepared caregivers and educators, thinking about teaching. Teachers have the tools that they need, that the leadership is supporting them. Those kinds of elements are all bulked under that. The Healthy Start header has things like screening, definitely understanding neurodiversity. It has a lot about food and nutrition. So all of those things, again, these are messages that are across the agenda, are kind of in this little bucket. So we'll be, I think it's campaign group number 4 that we met on the stewardship meeting, and we kind of had a little side chat about how to help shape that message. Our third one is environments, which doesn't just mean like places. It means tools, materials, interactions, how to interact with quality materials. How can we use everyday materials like cooking dinner with our children to have a high quality experience? So it's looking at our environments, what's around us, to make the most of the situation, but it's also what do healthy, high quality environments look like in childcare settings and in family daycare settings, as well as materials, and getting out into nature is a big one here, making sure that children get outside every day. So it's where can high quality experiences occur, and how might that happen with tools supporting that. Reflective and inclusive communities has a lot to do with conversations, making sure that everyone's represented, and that children in these high quality experiences see themselves in the interactions, and that again, this idea of support and tools and resources that these communities need, and that a child sees themselves as a citizen in the community that they learn and grow in, whether it's any setting, that's important that they have a voice. And then again, this idea of playful learning is where we're starting. So this one came out to be the biggest, so we're starting there. So moving on, thinking about playful learning right now, we decided, okay, now we have a social campaign media campaign. We have kind of a target message that we want to start with, and we wanted to name it. So our last meeting with our team, we brainstormed this as kind of our tagline, and we love your feedback. We wanted it to be a dialogic, as I said. So let's talk early childhood 2000-day journey rather than the first 2000 days. We put the word journey in there because it is a journey. We're on it together. A journey means you're with, you know, a bunch of people holding hands. Perhaps we tried to design some logos. These are two that I came up with using the branding kits from Strategies. The first set with the yellow and the blue has the kind of bubble, a 2000-day journey, and then the let's talk early childhood would be like in text either above or below, and then the other one with the bubble, it's just two versions kind of the same thing. I spent a lot of time thinking about the layout of that. We'll go back. I'm just going to kind of power through the slides and we can go back and look at those, because this is all pending approval and we love your feedback, so feel free to throw that in the chat as well, which I'm not able to see as I'm screen sharing, but just wanted to share. The reason I use those two back colors, because you can see at the bottom of this slide, so this is an example of what our first post page might look like, is we've decided to put a banner on the bottom of each of our posts.
It looks like Hilary froze.
We lose Hilary from it there. I can keep going, but I want to see if
Okay.
she comes back again.
Location of either of those versions, you can kind of see the difference there. Am I freezing?
Hilary, you froze for a minute, so maybe just go back about 15 seconds.
Sorry.
That's
okay.
okay.
Yeah, my internet connection unstable message just popped up as you said that. So sorry. So yeah, as I was just saying, the reason I tried to design these to be kind of square and small was because they're going to end up at the bottom of these posts. So for example, this is both versions with either logo on the bottom. Again, these aren't approved, so we're looking for feedback. But we wanted to make sure the 2000-day journey was prominent, and then that text about let's talk about early childhood would be kind of just text in the center. And then we've decided to use the Strategies logo as well. So that's an example of what a post might look like. Again, this is just an iStock photo, but we're getting towards designing our messaging. So moving forward, we are considering photo quality. We started a photo library, so we're trying to think about quality of images. We're considering whether we use professional stock photos or paid subscriptions to something like iStock to grab that photo you just saw, or is it that we want children in Massachusetts to be represented in these photos? And then if we do that, how do photo permissions look, which we do have a form, we have the Strategies form. So it's just a level of like making sure the photos really match the message. And again, what is it that we want to include in our messages? And the next meeting we're going to have, so it's okay, I have 10 more minutes. The next meeting we're going to meet.
Want to take over, Marisa?
Yeah, happy to. So our next meeting is going to be on April 22nd, which is a Monday from 3 to 4 p.m. And we've been alternating between 3 p.m. and then 7 p.m.
Thank you. So this is really where we're working on our first post, and I'm just not going to share slideshow wise, just to kind of show you the notes on the side. So we've got our instructions. This is our branding. This is our logo mock-up that we're working on. And then we have like this flat with the yellow and the blue. And then again, we're going back. So we're again hoping to have 5 headers with 5 messages for each. And if we're starting with playful learning, I think it's really important for our first post to be, what is playful learning? Have you heard playful learning? What is the definition? So again, these are just photos, Unsplash, they're free. There's this whole photo library that we have where you can see here, photo by Mark on Unsplash. If you post that in the text of the post, you get credit, it's a free photo. So here's our first post, and we're just gonna try to test it out on you guys to see what you think. Have you ever heard of playful learning? Every child learns through play. Play is a strategy for learning. So all of the next context and text is from Project Zero's Pedagogy of Play. So these are the 5 key strategies that are aligned with playful learning. So play is a strategy for learning, defining that. And you can see over here, I've got all the hashtags that I'm considering to link this to. Here's my resources. Here's the inline text that I would put underneath the text, the post. So really this slide just needs to be very small text, quick, but the bulk, you know, in the text where you scroll down and see the text below, this is the language we would put there. I've got the credits to the photos and then the reference for the links for everything. So that's what every post we're trying to make sure we have all those bases covered. So joy, play and learning must be joyful. Joy promotes motivation and interest, which leads to future learning. Play and learning must be meaningful. And then again, the inside text, how do meaningful activities support learning? When something is meaningful, people attend carefully. So we pulled this text right from the pedagogy of play. Play and learning must be active. No, that last slide and this slide are actually from Charlestown. We've had some photographers come through here, so I pulled those rather than off of iStock, but these are all ready to go with permissions as well. This is an iStock photo. Play and learning must be iterative. We can change that. Iterative means basically try and try again, so that you repeat in order to learn. And again, the text on the left kind of explains what that word iterative means. So, and then the last one is play and learning must be social. And this is, again, just a photo that I'm borrowing from iStock right now. I think we'd consider a subscription if that's the way we want to go. So that's really it. How will you engage in playful learning today? Kind of summing up that series of 6 posts. And that would be our first post, and we would navigate some text. And then our post number 2, we're starting to build. So there's this idea of like every moment can be a learning moment. A child builds confidence in their everyday moments, and you know, it just continues to go. So we have our 5 messages kind of staged a little bit here, but we've got to work out the details on the logo and as well as our, you know, what kind of photos we want to use. So let's see, time-wise, how am I doing? 7
You are
minutes. So I'm
doing-
gonna,
yeah,
I'm
doing
gonna
great.
stop share if that's okay, and I'm gonna just get some feedback. Or do you want me to keep the slides up?
That'd be perfect if you want to take on the slides. I'm seeing some comments in chat, so I can start to read
All
out some of
right,
those.
now I
but-
can see chat. Oh, 43 comments. Yikes. Okay.
Yeah, we have about
Thanks.
7 minutes left. So if anyone wants to come off mute and just use the raise hand function, if you'd love to share, we'd love to hear some feedback live too, and just have a little bit of a conversation around this idea of a social media campaign and
That'd be amazing.
how this fits into the various sort of action items that the working group is considering. So go ahead and use just the raise hand function so we can see you. I can go ahead and start by reading through some of the comments here. And then once we see someone with their hand up, we'll switch over to that. But it seems like a couple of the comments are revolving around the logos. So we got some great feedback there. It seems like the far left was maybe the one that was more interesting to the
I think so too, with the boulder. Yeah.
That's good. We can kind of look on building off of that and continue to iterate on that piece. And then I'm seeing some comments also about this idea of 2000 days and the journey piece, short-term goals, long-term goals, and a little bit of concern also that 2000 days sounds like such a long period of time. Does that really evoke this sense of urgency that we might all have? So maybe that's something we could think about building into the language too, or thinking about, you know, how's the way that we could address that while also continuing to express like the importance of this period of time in a child's
Maybe
life.
that's a first post, is what is the first 2000 days? Like,
Yeah.
duh, right?
Yeah.
Like that would make sense to just really define why we've chosen this as a guide. Yeah, thank you for that feedback.
Seeing some offers for photo permission. So organizations that might have photos that they want to share, and a pathway that we could set up for people to be able to submit for that. So I know we've talked about that piece. That's really exciting to see that kind of taking off.
There was a comment about just more diversity in the photos.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Paying attention to try to do that for sure. Yes.
That was one that we've
Thank
talked
you.
about. I also saw a comment about the photos being a little bit more descriptive too, and that's another one we've been thinking about. Like, there's this idea of an image can capture a story so powerfully, and also we want to make sure that it accurately sort of depicts the message that we're trying to get across, which can be hard when you're using stock photos or whatever is publicly available online. So that could
And then
be
there's a time factor of making sure, you know, someone goes out and takes the photos we're looking for, because it's like you could go through thousands of photos to find the right one to line the message. So there's kind of like a, you know, what comes before the chicken or the egg. Having the photo, we had talked in our group about having the photo and making a message around a photo we love, or having a message and finding the photo we need for that message, which, you know, it creates a different pool of work, which either is fine to consider. But thank you.
I saw somebody comment that they might have some pictures. So where are we asking if anybody in their centers? I feel like that would be great. Where would pictures go?
Yeah, think that's a good idea, Liz. Maybe we could set up I know we have the Google sort of like folder set up. We could add a space there and then share that in an email link with everyone so that you can, if you have photos and permissions, we can find some sort of pathway to collect all of that information and make sure that we have all of that set up.
That's a great idea. There,
Seeing some people are taking a look at the 2000 Days campaign from North Carolina too, which is really interesting. The big thing there with that campaign too that we've been really interested in is, you know, there's an opportunity to have our folks from North Carolina or from Georgia or some of these other states that have sort of operationalized that campaign to come to the 9:30 call to share with us all on what that looked like, what that process was like, and you know how they've seen success using that 2000 Days campaign. So I know that's something that Amy and I have talked about, and another model of sort of connecting the agenda to the 9:30 call and how we can use this space as a place for us all to kind of learn collectively on what's happening in other states and in Massachusetts. Seeing some real-time suggestions around the 2000 Days, which is great. I think that
Yeah.
does sort of add to the urgency piece in a really powerful way.
I appreciate that.
There's also a lot of appreciation and, you know, kudos to the work so far. And Harold's already thinking about other languages. What does it look like?
Yeah, that's a great point too.
And then how much does it cost to adapt their campaign?
Yeah, one of our messages was focusing around language access. So I think that's a really important part that we've talked about wanting to build into this before the launch as well.
There was a slide I didn't get to share, which I just put in the chat. I want to give a shameless plug out to BARIN. We're doing our last workshop event of the series. Amy is going to be our guest speaker talking about advocacy for educators. And we're accepting 1-minute video clips that we're going to put together and share. If you had a minute to speak with the governor, what would you say? So I just put the link in the chat for the Google Forms for you to, if anybody's interested in uploading a video, we would be very grateful to have your voice. Little side note, we're going to be launching that event. I think it's April 23rd, I think is the week of that event. But that is something we're asking for. So just wanted to, and thank you so much for all of your feedback. We're so excited to get some feedback and get this work continued in Workgroup 8.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to add, I'm seeing a question from Danubia about the cost and sort of impact of the campaign in other states. I'm going to put something in the chat, but I think that's something that we would want, you know, if we brought this to Massachusetts, that would be one of the questions we'd want to have answered before we kind of put it into practice is how are we tracking the progress of this campaign and what are some of the, whether it's surveys or other like supplemental pieces of it that we can include. I know in North Carolina, they did voter polls in 2014, 2016, and 2018 that showed significant gains, and they're attributing that towards public understanding of the importance of early childhood and this campaign. So there's sort of one way that they have addressed it there.
That's incredible.
That's great. A ton of feedback. We'll make sure that we share the chat with the work group. Also, the 9:30 call case study is live on the website. I just put the link in chat and the link to register for the April 4th conversation. But I think today was exactly what we would hope would happen when work groups come on the 9:30 call. Half an hour is not a lot of time, but Hilary, you squeezed in a ton of information.
Thanks.
If you can, Hilary, send me a copy of the slides and we'll put them
Sure.
on the 9:30 call website, and we'll also make, I know I'm sure they're in base camp too.
That's
But
great.
that would be great. So we can
And-
those are there, and then maybe on one of the slides, make sure we just have everyone's contact information about how to continue to keep conversations.
Perfect. And all the links to like the photo library that we started and the mock-up slides, like everything, the link to the Mentimeter, the group map, it's all there on the slides. So if you have a chance to go and click through those resources to dig a little deeper, we're really excited to get more people on the team to get your feedback. And so grateful for the feedback today, you guys. Thank you.
I also will say we had 114 people join the call this morning, which is also incredible.
That's amazing.
Just to see folks tuning in. So thank you, Hilary,
Thank
and the
you.
work group for joining us today, and lots of enthusiasm and excitement in the chat. And just, I think, for the work that's happening. We will see everyone tomorrow on the 9:30 call, and stay tuned for the bigger push about the 9:30 call case study that's coming out today. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Mm.